Hello everyone, welcome to my channel all about biology and this is Jyoti Verma. Today we will discuss about apospory and apogamy in detail. This question is very important for the short notes as well as for the long answer type questions. It is also asked in objective type questions. So firstly, you should know about the normal life cycle of the pteridophytes. The life cycle of the pteridophyte consists of two alternating phases, sporophytic phase and the gametophytic phase. The main plant body of the pteridophyte is a sporophyte which is diploid in nature, which consists of root, stem and leaves. And the second phase here is a gametophytic phase which is haploid in nature. So now we are going to discuss about the normal life cycle of the pteridophyte. So in the case of pteridophyte, the main plant body is a sporophyte which is diploid in nature. It undergoes meiosis to form microspores and the megaspores. So it is a heterosporous pteridophyte. These microspores and the megaspores respectively will germinate and form male gametophyte and the female gametophyte. Then these male gametophyte will form a spermatozoid and the female gametophyte will form an egg. After the fusion of this spermatozoid and egg, there is formation of a zygote here which is diploid in nature. Then this diploid zygote will ultimately form the sporophyte which is the diploid plant body. So in this way the alternation of generation goes on within the pteridophyte. The sporophytic phase alternates with the gametophytic phase which is haploid in nature, and then again the sporophytic phase will come. So this is the normal life cycle in the case of pteridophytes. But when the essential events in the life cycle are eliminated, then two important processes occur. These are apospory and apogamy. So firstly we will discuss about apospory in detail. In the case of apospory, what happens? There is formation of a gametophyte from the vegetative cells of the sporophyte. So there is no formation of spores in this case. So, apospory is the development of the gametophyte directly from the vegetative cells of the sporophyte without the formation of spores. So, it is apospory. In this case, the gametophyte that is formed is diploid in nature. However, as we have seen earlier in the normal life cycle, the gametophyte is haploid. So, this process of apospory was firstly demonstrated by Drury in 1884 as a natural phenomena in Atherium filix femina. So, in this plant, he reported apospory. In this fern, the prothallai are produced on pinnules in place of sporangia, a condition which was described as sorrel apospory. So this is the diagram of Atherium filix femina variety clarissima which shows sorrel apospory. In such a situation, this is the pinnule which is the dotted structure here, the pinnule which is the sporophytic cell which is diploid in nature, and from the vegetative cells of the pinnule there is formation of the gametophytic cell that involves sporangial prothallus that bears antheridia and archegonia. So these are the cells of the gametophyte here, and this is the sporophytic cell here. So it is showing sorrel apospory because the prothallus have been born on the pinnules in the place of sporangia. So it is your sorrel apospory. So an aposporous prothallus develops from the cells of an abortive sporangium or directly from the cells of leaf. As we have seen that they have developed from the cells of leaf in the case of Atherium filix femina variety clarissima. A note is here for you that the prothallus is a structure that is developed in the normal life cycle by the germination of spores. In the normal life cycle, the spores germinate and they will form a structure which is called as the prothallus. In the case of Lycopodium, you have seen the prothallus that bears antheridia and archegonia. However, in the case of apospory, you will be able to see the prothallus present on the pinnules. In Polysticum angulare variety Pulcherrimum, the leaves bore no sori and instead gametophyte develops on the margin. So these also show soral apospory. However, in some varieties of Polysticum angulare, the prothallai develop at the tips of the pinule in their direct continuation. So it is showing apical apospory because the prothallus have been formed here at the tip. Now, besides naturally occurring apospory has also been induced in many ferns. So, this phenomenon of apospory is naturally occurring, but it can be induced also within the lab. In such a situation, different parts of the sporophytes can be placed in a medium with little or no carbohydrate. Then they will develop into aposporous gametophytes. So now we will discuss about factors regulating apospory. So the factors that will affect apospory are nutrition. So if you place a sporophyte in a medium lacking carbohydrate, then in such a situation there will be development of aposporous gametophytes. Low light intensity favors the development of aposporous gametophyte. If we talk about the age of the sporophytic cell, then in such a situation, young cells like shoot apex and leaf tip will form gametophytes. However, the basal part of the shoot or leaf regenerate sporophytic tissue. So the age of the sporophytic cell, light intensity and nutrition will determine the process of apospory. Now we will discuss about apogamy. So apogamy is the development of sporophyte from the gametophytic tissue without the fusion of gametes. As we have discussed earlier, in the normal life cycle there was fusion of gametes that leads to the formation of zygote that leads to further development of the sporophyte. However, in the case of apogamy, there is direct formation of the sporophyte from the gametophytic tissue. Such sporophytes grow vegetatively by budding from the gametophyte. This process was firstly observed by Forlow in 1874 in Pteris Cretica. The term apogamy was induced by D. Barry in 1878. So this is diagrammatic representation of apogamy in Pteris Cretica, and in this diagram you will be able to see that it is the heart-shaped structure which is the prothallus. It is the gametophytic tissue, and from this gametophytic tissue there is direct development of the sporophytic tissue without the fusion of gametes. The sporophytic tissue in this diagram can be seen in the form of leaves and roots. So this is your apogamy in Pteris Cretica. Apogamy is more widespread than apospory. Now we will discuss about the types of apogamy. So there are two types of apogamy: obligate apogamy and induced or facultative apogamy. In the case of obligate apogamy, it occurs naturally. In such a situation, the apogamous sporophyte occur naturally due to the absence of or non-functional nature of one or both sex organs. Example in this case is Dryopteris, Adiantum and Osmunda. In the case of induced or facultative apogamy, in such a situation the apogamy is induced in the gametophyte having functional antheridia and archegonia. Normally, ferns of dry habitats usually do not get sufficient water for fertilization. Hence, they fail to reproduce sexually. In such ferns, obligate apogamy is an adaptation to dry conditions. So, such ferns that commonly grow in dry conditions that do not have sufficient water for fertilization. In such type of ferns, obligate apogamy is seen commonly. Then the apogamous sporophyte may be represented either only by a single sporangium with spores, example is Phyllotis, or by a complete structure with root, stem and leaves as in Dudia cordata. So the apogamous sporophyte can be seen in the form of a single sporangium with spores, or it can be seen in the form of a complete structure having root, stem and leaves. Now coming to induction of apogamy. So Lang in 1896 was the first to induce apogamy successfully in many varieties of ferns. Now coming to factors regulating apogamy. So there are certain factors that regulate the apogamy process are nutritional factors. So apogamous sporophytes are obtained if the gametophytes are placed in 4% sucrose solution at an initiative phase. So if the gametophytes are placed at a 4% sucrose solution, then you will be able to get apogamous sporophytes. Then coming to light quality. So far red light of about 705 nanometer has been found to be most effective in inducing apogamous development of sporophyte, followed by blue and white light. So far red light, blue and white light is found to be very effective for inducing apogamous development of sporophyte. Now coming to our next factor, that is hormones. So presence of hormones like 2,4-dichlorophenolic acid, gibberellic acid, indole 3-acetic acid, tryptophan, these hormones stimulate gametophytes to produce apogamous sporophytes even at very low concentration of carbohydrates. Next factor affecting is chromosome number. So apogamy is more prevalent in polyploid gametophytes than in normal haploid prothalli. So these are the factors affecting apogamy, and this is all about for today, the apogamy and the apospory. If you like the video, just subscribe to my channel for further updates. Thank you so much.